and subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Now, I'm liking a lot of what Dominic Breazeale is saying lately over the last couple of weeks, and this particular subject is no different. Now, Dominic Breazeale is the WBC heavyweight mandatory for Deontay Wilder's WBC heavyweight title, of course. Whether we like that or whether we don't, this is the facts of it, okay? Him beating Eric Molina got him that privilege, shall we say. Now, for me, I believe that him versus Dillian Whyte should happen. That's ideally what I want. And I know Dominic Breazeale has been saying that he's open to fight Dillian Whyte. Of course, this is going to be dependent on money. Of course it is. And Dillian Whyte would love nothing more than to fight Dominic Breazeale himself. As in, let's take that whole situation out of the hands of the WBC. Let's do what they should have done, which is called a final eliminator between Dillian Whyte and Dominic Breazeale for the final mandatory situation. But WBC didn't do that, and this is the situation that we have it in, where the number one in Dillian Whyte is not the mandatory, but in fact the number 3 is. So I like the fact that Dominic Breazeale has said that he is open to fight Dillian Whyte. Now, hopefully he's a man of his word and he sticks to that one. Now, of course, he wants Deontay Wilder first and foremost, and I don't blame him for it. They have history because of the Alabama group attack that happened on Dominic Breazeale via Wilder, and he's been chasing that fight for quite some time. Now, from December, that mandatory situation will be called. Okay, so if he's still the WBC mandatory, he will fight Wilder next, unless Wilder can negotiate with Joshua and fight him next. That's the only way that fight won't happen. But, as I said, if him and Dillian Whyte get it on, then Dillian Whyte will be called to fight Deontay Wilder. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. As I said, Dominic Breazeale is saying all the right things with Deontay Wilder. He wants him, and he's serious about it. And he says the same thing about Dillian Whyte. And now he's saying about Anthony Joshua. Obviously, this is a fight that happened back in 2016, where Anthony Joshua beat him quite convincingly and stopped him in 7 rounds. So I suppose what doesn't really help is the fact where people look at it as a rematch and go, I'm not really sure about the rematch, because in the first one, according to Eddie Hearn and other people saying that Anthony Joshua had glandular fever, he still managed to dominate Dominic Breazeale. But anyway, Dominic Breazeale has said this about that fight, and of course he wants revenge on Anthony Joshua, and this is what Dominic Breazeale had to say. The Dominic Breazeale of 2016 that fought Anthony Joshua is a completely different fighter than I am now. I've grown 2 years. I've had some great fights under my belt. I did take the fight against Joshua as a learning lesson, and I'm learning from it every day. I did things in that fight. I did a lot of different things wrong, but I've capitalised and I'm getting better as a fighter. I think that fight is one that's going to haunt me forever. I'm never going to be able to end my boxing career without actually getting back in the ring with Joshua. Hopefully, after I beat guys like Jarrell Miller and Dillian Whyte, even go on and win the WBC title, because I am the WBC mandatory, me and Joshua can get in the ring and square off again. That's by far the one demon that's going to haunt me forever. Ideally, in the right situation, I would have fought for the WBC heavyweight title, won it by the spring of 2019, and then me and Joshua in the ring somewhere here in the United States, preferably Las Vegas. Me and Joshua can square off to banish those demons. Him with the IBF title, the WBO title, the WBA, and me with the WBC. That would make it a true, undisputed heavyweight championship fight. That is Dominic Breazeale's statement, courtesy of One Sky Sports. Now, the only real issue that I have here, again, I'm speaking from a fan's perspective, is if Dominic Breazeale was to get this fight with Wilder and beat Wilder to become the WBC champion, then him versus Joshua, for me, should be on British soil, purely as a selfish fan perspective. Exactly the same that I said about Wilder, because we've never had an undisputed on British soil before. So, for me, hopefully, if him versus Dominic Breazeale, or him versus Wilder, or him versus Dillian Whyte, as in Joshua, of course, happens, and it's ever going to be for undisputed on British soil, please. If not, hey, I'm still going to watch it and support and all that kind of good stuff. Now, as I said before, this is perfect from Dominic Breazeale. I want him to take on any of those 3. Would be great. Ideally, it would be Dillian Whyte. I've said this before, and as much as I do like Dominic Breazeale, of course my bias comes into it, because I want Dillian Whyte to beat Dominic Breazeale. And then we're in a situation where the WBC will then call the mandatory, and after Deontay Wilder potentially beats Tyson Fury, then the only way that Deontay Wilder can then get out of fighting Dillian Whyte next is by unifying with Joshua. So it's a win-win from both sides of the fence. Either way, we're going to see either Dillian Whyte versus Wilder or Anthony Joshua versus Wilder. But knowing Eddie Hearn, he would probably put or enforce the Dillian Whyte versus Deontay Wilder for the WBC strap. Why? Because Dillian Whyte beating Wilder would then make it undisputed between two Brits. That's a perfect situation for both of his fighters fighting together for undisputed. But ultimately, we've got to get Dominic Breazeale versus Dillian Whyte first. As I said, for him to be fighting Anthony Joshua, I think he'll be a lot more hungry next time. He'll be a lot more tactical. But of course, as much as Dominic Breazeale is well improving, of course he is, inactivity at the minute is not really doing him any kind of justice. But Anthony Joshua is also improving. So the gulf of difference that was there first time around, there's a very good chance it will be there second time around. But for me, as I said, I'd watch it, of course I would. And if it's undisputed, without a doubt, of course. But you know what, first things first, for me, Dominic Breazeale and Dillian Whyte need to get this fight on the road. That's just my opinion. Of course, you drop me yours, click that thumbs up, subscribe, catch you all on the next video.